Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Celebrity Challenge, and today we have not just a goof. This is a documentary that was just released this week on the 7th, and yeah, this is Goofy. It's about Goofy. It's about the Goofy movie. It's 30 years. It's the 30th anniversary, and I have to admit that I watched it only because of this series back in 2020. I think we're in the middle of the pandemic. I think is when I watched it. When I realized I'm going to be doing this for a while, and you know what? I just watched a Goofy movie, and I had never experienced it before. I know that's sacrilege to many of you, but the thing is, it's the kind of thing that it really hit home with kids, and you see that in this documentary. You see lots of people, commentators, social media people, and I was surprised they didn't include my video footage. I don't know. Maybe I didn't say enough nice things about it. I have no idea. But yeah, you'll go through there if you watch this documentary and you talked obsessively about a Goofy movie in the past. There's a chance you might show up in this. So yeah, so yeah, I was already an adult by the time this came out, and I wasn't necessarily watching Disney cartoons. I didn't have the association, the connection with Disney that I have had in the last decade or two now, since I moved to California and just started going to Disneyland and doing all the Disney things and going to D23 Expo and just really immersing myself in the culture and the people and the characters and everything else. And of course, through Disney Plus here, we're almost at 2,000 episodes every day talking about something that's on Disney Plus. That tends to connect you to it. So this is, like I said, brand new. It came out just a few days ago. In fact, it just sort of snuck up on me. I had already worked on an episode for the 7th, and I just happened to, I had to squeeze this in. I couldn't let it wait until maybe the next quarter or the next quarter. I had to watch it now. So yeah, it looks at all the people that worked on the film, why can't I say his name? Kevin Lima, who was a first-time director in this sense. You get to hear his story of how he was inspired by the Jungle Book to become a filmmaker, to make an animated film, and then go through all sorts of different steps that would bring him closer and closer to making a feature motion picture, an animated motion picture with a classic character. But it wasn't that easy. There was also a lot of stuff that went into making the film that really worked against them a lot of the time. They were in an era, they were in the Renaissance era, the 90s, starting with The Little Mermaid, and he'd worked on different things with all these different films, but with The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and Lion King and Aladdin and all these other things, and Jeffrey Katzenberg was running the show. I'm not going to tell you everything that they talk about in this, but there's a very good part of this that sees Jeffrey Katzenberg as a villain in this, but maybe not always. All I know is that from watching this, and I by the way, I love these types of documentaries that talk about the people who are passionate about their craft, about not just, I have a job making a movie. People are passionate about making it the best thing possible. I find it's the stuff I watch, and maybe I've easily BS'd, but most people enjoy creating things. Yeah, there's people who do grind out stuff to make a profit. Sure. But in this case, there's some people who were given the job to make a Goofy movie, but they weren't really sure about what was involved in making the right kind of Goofy movie. He'd been making shorts. Goofy'd been in shorts since the 1930s, where he's just this punching bag, in a sense. When it comes to physical comedy, he can handle anything. It's all about physical comedy with Goofy. He is not bright. He is pretty much a one-trick pony for the most part. At least that's how some people saw him. He was just a one-trick pony where he just takes a lot of abuse and wackiness, and it's what you see in a short cartoon. And you get humor out of it. He's a funny guy. He's somebody you can just enjoy He gets knocked down, but he gets right back up with a big smile in most cases. And it's always fun to watch him. But the idea of giving him more depth, giving him the role of being, sure, Goof Troop existed as a series before this, but to make him into a more three-dimensional character, more than just a wacky dad. By the way, everybody else has nephews and nieces and whatever. Goofy's the only one who actually has a son, a child, that I can recall in the original character set. Now, I'm not talking about, Simba and Mufasa and things like that. I'm talking about Mickey, Donald, Goofy, Minnie, Daisy, Clarabelle, Pete. Pete has a son in this, but still, Goofy, as part of the big three, Mickey, Donald, Goofy. Yeah, the big main trio, the three Caballeros. He has a son. And you kind of get the idea that somebody that haphazard, with such a haphazard life, probably might not want to have kids because he might not be too careful with them. He might get mixed up in his shenanigans. No. Okay, he does. Yeah, Max gets mixed up in some shenanigans, but it's never due to complete negligence. It's Goofy. He loves his son. And how do you project that into a story when all he's known for is slapstick? How do you give him depth? And there were some surprising revelations in this. And I know that a lot of you hardcore Goofy movie fans know all these little details, but I have a feeling there's a few things in here that you've never seen before. In fact, some of the footage has been pulled out of just literally a box in I think Kevin's garage, and it's shown here for the very first time. And you get to see just a lot of just handheld 1990s era video footage of people behind the scenes working not just in Burbank, but in France. Yeah. And there's other studios in Australia and in Toronto and other places like that, just piecing this thing together, making humongous changes, finding big errors. Just a speck can ruin a movie, and it almost did. But it also kind of saved the movie. I won't go into the details. You'll have to watch it to understand why. And then also, it takes you all the way from the very beginnings of how they're trying to break down the story, break down the characters, decide who is going to play Goofy. Okay, Bill Farmer, of course, right? Yeah, he's the first pick. Of course, Bill Farmer's gonna be the voice of Goofy. But what if it wasn't? What if Jeffrey Katzenberg came in and said, how about this major celebrity performs the voice of Goofy, not as the Goofy voice you know, but as the actor's original voice? Yeah, that would have been a very different film. And of course, they go through all the different things, not just when it came to the story and the characters. And we also have, by the way, we get interviews with pretty much most of the cast in this. We get Jason Marsden, who played Max, and a number of other people throughout this are seen. You can see some of the footage of them doing voice work with what's his name? Jason Marsden, and the young woman who played his girlfriend in the film, Jenna Van Oy. They actually kissed when they were recording their lines. And Jason had to remind them, we're just teenagers. We're not on-camera actors, necessarily. So yeah, it was a very interesting kind of different way of doing things, but you don't usually get that. You don't usually have, not always people in the same room all the time doing their voices. Like each of the Simpsons actors very often don't record together. Or even just about nearly every cartoon that you see on TV these days, or in the movies. Very often, depending on how the chemistry works with the actors, it works to their benefit to have certain actors working together in the same room, and it's fantastic. So you get to see that part. You get to see the build up, the ups and downs, and the demoralized moments, moments where they just don't think they're ever going to get this movie made. And at the same time, in 1994, The Lion King is just dominating the box office. It becomes the biggest animated film of all time. It was nominated for an Oscar. Did it win? I don't think it did. Did it? I don't know. But there's just so much going on around the buildup of this thing, and all the way down to Powerline and the music that went into it, how they found the artists to perform the music, the singer, I think his name is Tevin, nailing it in like 2 takes, like doing things like that. You get to see some original archive footage that has never been seen before of the recording process, and you get to see how they worked out the animation by having it based on real movement. It's nothing new for Disney. They've been doing it since, Alice in Wonderland and Snow White and everything else. But it was a different type of animation back then. Even with Goofy movie, it's still 2D animation. I don't think they were yet at the 3D, adding the 3D elements just yet. But they were animating from physical references of people moving, doing the dancing. They had people, dressed like, not dressed like, but one guy had the hair like Powerline, I think, at different heights for Max and Goofy, and just mimicking their styles of dance is kind of fantastic. Then it takes you all the way through to the release of the film and it bombing. And it getting horrible, horrible reviews. Reviewers, critics hated it. Yeah. And if they didn't hate it, they just didn't sound like they liked it at all. It sounded like it was a chore. But what's most important is that when it finally got in front of people's eyes, whether it was in the theaters or through a very discounted VHS tape in the clamshell, it introduced kids especially, and also the Disney Channel, introduced kids to the Goofy movie, Goofy movie. And gave it a whole new audience. Supposedly Disney Channel played it nonstop at every chance you got. And if you grew up during that era when you were a preteen or young teen or anything else, and you saw that Goofy movie, it changed your life for a lot of people. I can't say it changed your life, I don't know you, but it changed a lot of people's lives. And you get to see those reactions, the people talking about it in their podcasts, their video podcasts, and all these different things, interviews and things with different fans, and realizing just how much of an impact it made on their lives. People moved to tears talking about it. And then also realizing just Disney still, even a few years ago, had no comprehension of just how big of a thing a Goofy movie was amongst fans. When they made a panel about the anniversary of a Goofy movie and had the cast there at D23 Expo in Anaheim, which I go to every time they have it, they put it in one of the smallest rooms. And they had to turn away thousands of people. There was just not enough room to handle everybody who wanted to get into that panel. And if those terms mean nothing to you because you don't go to conventions, well, trust me, it's a big deal to want to go to the panel you want to go to so badly, and the seats run out real quick. It's the way with me and Hall H in the years that I don't get to go. I don't get to be so lucky every year at San Diego Comic-Con. But when you get in there, it's a party. It's thrilling, and you get to see that. You get to see the fans' reactions. You get to see the people recalling this discovery in their lives 30 years after the fact. So if you're a fan, which I don't really need to tell you this, yeah, you're going to want to watch this. Even if you're not really into documentaries or behind the scenes, I watched this movie one time, but I can't imagine I didn't like it. I'd have to go back and watch it. Again, it's a couple of years ago since I've seen it, but I love behind the scenes stories about people who are passionate about what they're making, just being honest about what they were experiencing, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and everything else that just what goes into not just the technical stuff, but who they are as people, how it changed them as people in trying to make something that, for the most part, was the little movie that could, as Bill Farmer, I think, put it. I paraphrased him, but honestly, if you get a time, this is brand new, so get some time and sit down, watch it, and it's not accidental that at the end of this, which by the way, there is an after credit sequence, believe it or not. After the credits, stick around. You'll see one more little bit from this guy, and it will recommend you that you watch a Goofy movie. I think that's a good idea. So I would do that right now if I didn't have other things I needed to get done. So yeah. This is for you, the fans who have loved this movie and these characters and these creators for 30 years. Watch this. Let Disney Plus know you just how much you love it, and keep watching it, just like you watched the Goofy movie. Let them see those numbers go up and see the love, and so they know the stats of how many people watch this thing. You never get to see it for the most part, but they notice. So maybe I can't say that they could ever do a Goofy movie. There was a sequel. There's an extreme one, whatever. they did do a sequel, but could they do another one today? Maybe. It would have to have a slightly different cast, but I don't think it would have this. I don't know if it could grab people the same way this one did, in a way that most people never imagined it could. It was all about lions back then, and the big blockbuster motion pictures, and of course the expectations of Goofy. How do you make people were mad at him for making Goofy not just like slapsticking and falling down and getting smacked in the face with rakes, all that stuff. They were mad at him for changing the central essence of Goofy, but they didn't. Goofy is still Goofy. He just has more depth, more heart, and that's not a bad thing. We love seeing him just get into all sorts of craziness, but the Goofy movie gave him a dimension that really hit people where it mattered, and that's not a bad thing. So I say definitely check it out, but I don't have to convince you of that. If you haven't watched it though, if you don't plan on watching this, I suggest watching a Goofy movie first, of course. Our next episode today, I already picked it yesterday. It was number 171 on the list. It is the Simone Biles story, Courage to... Yeah, it's a Simone Biles story. And I thought it was a documentary at first. It turns out it's a drama produced by her. So a Simone Biles story, not Caravan of Courage, but there's something about courage in the title, and my brain is completely erased right now. I'm tired. So watch the Simone Biles story on the next Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.